This is Dante. He's a 12-year-old Arab gelding. We've had him since he was 4 months old. He would have really severe high-low syndrome in the front, but been able to maintain his feet real frequently for his whole life. So he doesn't have that bad of mismatched feet in the front. And he's cow-hawked in the back and sickle-hawked, so he'd have some real issues by now with that if I wasn't able to stay on his feet since he was a youngster and keep him where he at. His feet have actually improved and his conformation's improved over those 12 years. This year, his conformation's better than it's ever been. His feet are better than they've ever been. Makes me a true believer that these horses are designed for their feet to improve over their life if they're addressed properly. So that's why I trim the way I do, real meticulously and frequently. So this is his worst foot here. It's been about 3 weeks since I trimmed him. So he has a really long sloping pastern on this side. This is his low foot, so it gets a lot of drift to it, and it doesn't have a very steep toe angle, so it spreads fast, it flares fast. So anyway, and he has a bit of a Z-leg, so it comes out with more flare on the outside than on the inside. So it's a wonky foot, but if I stay after it, I can keep it going in the right direction. And what I mean by staying after it is weekly trims for him are the best. As long as I don't go past 2 weeks very often, I can keep a pretty good foot on this guy. Okay, so that's not too bad of a foot for his unique set of challenges. You can get it from the sides, you can see the depth of the sole. It's a pretty foot. Yeah. Okay, you just asked if I have a pattern to how I pick up feet and work a horse, and I was saying that I do, but I always tell people not to, because it's real easy to fall in a pattern of always doing the right front first and the left front second and the right hind third and the left hind third and the right hind last. If you do that all the time, you're always more tired by the time you get to that last right foot. You may not do as good a job. You might be a little bit less patient by then if the horse is swatting flies or whatever. If you do that all day long, the last horse of the day is probably going to have a really crappy looking trim on that lap. If you do that for your career, or you do that in the beginning of your, say you do that at the beginning of your career, within 2 years you'll have right hind issues on every horse you have. And you'll have a foot you are having a really hard time with. You might get fired, and then somebody else has to sort it out, or somebody else can't figure it out. Whatever, that horse will go through its life with that right hind issue. Everybody be looking at the hock and the stifle, the hip, trying to figure out it, but it's because that right foot gets done last a lot. It's like the car's made on Friday kind of thing. Anyway, it's something I try not to do. I feel like I'm disciplined enough to be able to have a pattern and not give up on that last foot too early. But I didn't at first. I fell in the trap at 2 years. I had some things wrong with my horses, and that's kind of where I think I learned it. And I realized I'd come up with a formula, and I was being too repetitive, and I was tired at that last foot. And I had a lot of fixing to do on those feet. Luckily, I hadn't done it too long, and I figured it out myself. Is that horses are naturally right or left dominant. So if a farrier is right or left dominant, and the horses, say the farrier's right dominant, the horse is right dominant, and then they're going to put more weight on that right hind. And if that's the one you don't get to, they've got to shift over to the left hind. It throws off their entire body. So they start compensating. Before you know it, you've got the hip and hock problems. If the farrier's right dominant, they're going to be heavy on this side. if they're on that foot, they're going to be heavy on this side. If that horse is base narrow and they load that side anyway, they're going to make that horse more base narrow. If they're left-hand dominant and they come and take too much off the inside, they're going to go against the horse and make it cowhocked instead of base narrow, which is a real kind of a death sentence in my opinion. You have this again. He maintains his own heels. I haven't really touched his heels much in 11 years. Well, maybe in the beginning I think I had to get him down there, but so say maybe 9 years he's been maintaining his own heel height. I'll just do a minimal thing right here. I start at the frog where that lumpy stuff is, and I get that stuff off so he can. That'll put him down. His collarbone. That'll allow him to put his weight in his heels and push that frog into the ground instead of staying off him because of that callus that's uncomfortable. So that gets it, relieves a little space in there. And then all I'll do, because I like the way the height of those heels are close to the frog, I don't have really any room to take them down, but I'll just take these sharp edges off the back. And that'll help him maintain his own heels till the next trim. So I haven't lowered them, I just shaped them up from the back. He's been on a rock here for a little while. It's a good reason to check your horse's feet because it blew out that heel right there. It looks like he's had that in his foot for a few days. This horse here has a lot of caudal development. He's got really healthy heel here. You can see how low the heel is here to here. It's because it's been kept low his whole life. That's what grows everything above the end of the collateral groove to the hairline. That's what he's able to maintain, and that's all soft tissue right there. So that's a really beautiful heel on this horse, but it's not the kind of heel that most people think of, which is from the collateral groove down. That's not how you grow a heel. It's from here up, and that's developed, not trimmed. And it's from keeping these horses able to maintain their own heel height. It's the difference between trimming and developing a foot. This guy doesn't have the best frogs in the world either. You can see they're kind of skinny, but he's got really healthy feet because it makes me question the whole thing about the frog adding to or being responsible for digital cushion development, because this horse has some of the nicest digital cushions I've seen, and he doesn't have that great of a frog. Okay, so you want to get a side view of that one too. Again, that's all stuff. I never touched that little half moon right there. That's all him. All him. Cowhawk, so he loads the inside more than the outside. That's a real difficult conformation trait for horses to have. It wears out their hocks and stifles and stuff. If you can test that for yourself if you want to know how it feels. A base narrow horse would stand like this. I could probably stand like this for a long time. A cowhawk horse stands like this, and that kind of wretched on your knees, and that's what they've got to put up with their hocks and hips and everything. So if it goes, the longer their feet grow, the more they get like that. They might be naturally cowhawked about like that, but if you don't correct it, they'll get out like that, and then all of a sudden their hips are kinked and their hocks are kinked and they're having a lot of trouble. So I've just stayed after his feet for years because I saw that conformation on older horses in the beginning, and I never wanted him to have that life. So his feet have stayed pretty straight and have actually corrected. He also has drop pasterns too, which make it even more difficult for him. see there's an even amount of growth. Flares out a little bit here. That's a pretty well balanced foot for a cow-hocked horse. There's an even amount of wall all the way around that foot that indicates that his coffin bone is balanced inside his hoof capsule. Again, this is about 2.5 weeks of growth. Since 2.5 weeks since I trimmed him last. Okay, not a bad foot. Here I'm going to bring the inside of the foot down before I touch the wall. I'm going to bring the inside of the foot down to where it's supposed to be. Bars are a little overgrown here. A little bit of frog trimming, and then I'll do the back of the frog. It's, in my opinion, the most important part of the trim is right there.
And why is that, David?
Because that's what's got to be comfortable for them to commit their weight to the back of their foot. If that's not comfortable, they just go out on their toes. It makes them be leg movers instead of back movers. Here I'm bringing these heels down to that frog, just slightly above it maybe, but in his case I can bring them right down to it. They're strong heels, and there's a lot of development up in here that he can handle the pressure. All right.